All right. Hello, family. Thank you guys for joining us today on the Transform Your Mind, Change Your Life podcast. We appreciate always as you guys are tuning in to like and subscribe. We thank you guys that continue to follow us and hear from us on a weekly basis. Once again, just giving our appreciation to you guys. Today, we have an awesome show. So I want to make sure I start with that because we're getting ready to talk about healing after betrayal. Betrayal is hard, man. And we face it in many areas of our lives. Just not, you know, a lot of times when we hear the word betrayal, we think about it in a relationship, between maybe a husband and wife or boyfriend and girlfriend. But betrayal happens in so many ways, in so many different ways. Yes, usually some form of relationship has to be there for betrayal to take place, but not necessarily always. From a boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife standpoint, a lot of times betrayal, when we first happens to us in our lives, rather, it happens to us with our families. It happens to us with the people we love, and that's actually why it hurts so much. And I give you that thought process because a lot of times, the reason we get so upset and so angry when things happen, with people we love, we're so upset and so angry because we think to ourselves, that shouldn't happen, when it comes from you. You shouldn't have given that to me. That shouldn't have not taken place, for somebody who's supposed to love me. And so that's what we're going to try to tackle a little bit today with you guys. We're going to talk about 5 steps to hopefully overcome it as you go through the healing process. Because absolutely, I want to make sure I say this again. Absolutely, you can heal. Okay, after betrayal, there is a way to go through things where you can heal. You can become an overcomer in that area. You can be victorious in it. But once again, it's going to take time. And it's a lot of small steps, a lot of times that we have to take when we're going through things of that nature. But these steps are worth it if it makes you whole.
Yeah.
So yeah, go on, man. She's gonna kick in.
Okay. Yeah. Healing from betrayal or healing after betrayal is something that is near and dear to me as well, because one of the things that I did not learn as a child growing into becoming an adult is that I am able to do things that were not permissible in my household and even sometimes in my community. And that is acknowledge the pain that I'm having,
Mm,
the pain that I'm in, the pain of after what happened, And so I learned, unfortunately, I learned as a young adult when my grandmother passed away that it takes me some time to literally go through the, oh my goodness, this just happened to me. Oh my goodness, this is a major loss for me. I went through the whole experience of losing her, going through helping to you know provide, get the services taken care of, to plan and do all of that, and even working through the pain of my child, because our oldest son was very connected and attached to her, and going through that, and then a year later, boop, it hits me as though this is the first day that I learned that my grandmother has passed away. So it's pain, but it's not a betrayal, but it's still pain. So I didn't even realize that I was in pain. Fast forward to where I acknowledged betrayal. Betrayal was something that I didn't think was something that could happen in a family. I always understood a man and a woman. Yeah, a man can betray a woman. A woman can betray a man, in their relationship. But I never thought about, parent to child, never thought from sibling to sibling. I didn't think about betrayal in that way. I didn't know that that was another option that betrayal can show up, another place that betrayal can show up. So one of the first steps is literally the first step actually, that we would guide you to, is to acknowledge the pain, acknowledge that I am hurting, and it doesn't matter that this happened to me 2 years ago. It doesn't matter that this just happened to me last month. I don't have to address the pain in the second that I'm in it. I can address the pain when I am able to settle and really go through and say, shoot, life is different and this hurts. I don't like what I'm experiencing. I don't like what I did experience. And so acknowledging the pain is a critical step in being able to move forward. And as I'm acknowledging that pain, I'm able to then start to see, where did I allow myself to go too fast, too forward in?
mm,
Some certain things that I let happen was because I presented myself too openly, too quick. And maybe I need to step back and say, let's reserve a couple things for the future. Let's not go ahead and put it all out right now in the present. So, acknowledging the pain and accepting that, okay, this hurts. And I need to look at myself and set some boundaries.
Hmm. Yeah, the way I look at it with this, especially with this portion of it going into acknowledging the pain, a lot of times people, even myself, I had this happen to me, and I probably experienced my first version of betrayal with a close relative who lived with us when I was a young man, or the young man when I'm a young, well, actually a boy, about 9 years old, and I never forget that because this person seemed to be really crazy about me, for years growing up, would take me everywhere with him. I would even go with him on his dates. I thought that was like the coolest thing in the world, right? But all of a sudden, something happened where he stopped liking me. And what I mean by that, it wasn't just like he stopped taking me with him. I mean, he got mean, argumentative, feisty, got to a place where, he didn't care for me at all, as a little kid, you don't know how to process these things, and so what happens, it happened to me rather, was when I was going through this, I was trying to figure out what I did wrong. I got this person that I love, but they no longer love me. And I don't know why. And the reason I say they no longer love me, because what I'm seeing, it doesn't equate to love. What I'm seeing, it equates to anger. What I'm seeing, all of a sudden I'm having somebody that doesn't even want me around anymore. And man, it hurt me like crazy, and so I started to experience that. And I experienced it for years, so much where I thought this person was just my full-on enemy. Right. So not only I was ready to, when I got a little older, that I was ready to fight with him, I was ready to deal with him even on another level if need be, and so a lot of times with betrayal, I think, especially when we go through it when we're young, we don't necessarily process it as betrayal. We process it as, what you really don't fully process, because you don't even know what's quite going on. Let me just stay there. But what you do feel is you feel the anger, you feel the resentment, you feel the pain and hurt that comes from it. And so then you find yourself maybe lashing out in anger. You may be upset. And some people hold on to this thing for years. And you hold on to it so long. That's why you got so many people with mommy and daddy issues. I'm not trying to make this small, but they have mother and father issues, and they're grown people. I remember going to one of the which was it the therapist, when we were talking with him one time, and all he kept going back was to a mother and daddy issues. I'm like, man, stop talking about mom and daddy issues. I didn't come here today for mom and daddy issues, right? And so I remember one day talking to him, why do you always bring it up? Like, you always want to relate mommy and daddy issues to something that's going on. He says, because believe it or not, Charles, a lot of times when people, are having hardships in their life, they bring a lot of their pain forward, right? But they apply somebody else as a face to that pain, rather than sometimes the people who have caused it.
Yeah.
Right. And so here you are, you're mad, you're angry all the time, you may be feisty and dealing with folks in a way, but really that anger, that pain, that hurt, that resentment, that new person that you're dealing with has not caused that.
Yeah.
Right. But they're receiving the brunt of it. You got this saying, and I know, say if you don't heal from the past, would you say you I think you'll crap on everybody else in the present and future. I know I'm not saying it the way you say it, but it's a great saying, because we got to find ways to heal. We got to find ways to move forward. And then one of the first steps in healing, because even with me, I remember me going through some of this healing process, but I was in my early 20s when I started to go through the process of some of the things that happened to me when I was a young man. And once again, I'm bringing this up because I had to acknowledge what it was and acknowledge who it came from. But I also had to acknowledge that it happened to me, and I have to forgive myself. When I say forgive myself right now, I'm just saying I had to get myself into a place to realize I didn't force this to happen to me.
No.
I didn't make this to happen to me. Because before I kept looking, what am I doing wrong? Why does this happen to me? What's wrong with me? What's bothering? What was so bad about me? What made me not worth it? But then holding on to that so long, what you start to do is damn yourself. You start to resent who you are. And this, I know this may be some extreme thoughts about this, but you guys, this happens so much to people. They're bringing these pains forward, it's hurting, and they don't know, they don't get rid of it. They learn how to cope with it. They learn how to tolerate it, but coping and tolerating, you're still holding on to it. Okay. You're not releasing it. You got to get it on the outside of you if you want to move forward with it. So when I say acknowledging the pain and setting boundaries, this is part of the first steps. that you have to start taking, especially if you want to heal. The acknowledgement is saying this thing happened, and it happened, maybe even from someone I love. It happened maybe from my husband. It happened maybe with my boyfriend, my girlfriend. It acknowledging.
Yeah.
There's a biblical story you'd like to talk about too, especially in Joseph. Speaking of Joseph in the book of Genesis, how his brothers betrayed him, how his brothers basically sold him into slavery. But one thing, when Joseph, got a chance to meet his brothers later on in life, when he was who he was, when his brothers came back to him and started talking to him, Joseph, he absolutely acknowledged, what you did was evil. Make no mistake. Okay, each and every one of you did evil towards me, but it was the Lord who meant it for good. I love that statement, because one thing you always say, Myhisha, about that is Joseph acknowledged the truth, and he acknowledged the truth also with the people who did those things.
Well, I learned that when I was actually on my journey from
Mm,
healing from betrayal. That scripture was given to me, even though I had read the Bible several times and gone through it, and I still go through it. It was somebody else who noticed it in me and said, "This is for you."
that's
Okay.
good.
Actually, it was Kay Warren. Kay Warren walked up
Okay.
to me and said it. And I'm like, how did she know that I was feeling this way? How did she know that I was having this pain? The thing about it is, betrayal, it has so much, it has so much dust that comes along with it. And I think that those of us who go through it, we think, oh, well, because, somebody wasn't disloyal or dishonest to me, and, they weren't treacherous towards me, then, you know what, I can't really consider that betrayal. No, you can. Betrayal is literally someone who you love. They say they love you too, because betrayers believe that they love you. It's
Yeah.
them putting their own self interest above your well being.
Right.
Period. And so when that comes into effect, you're like, okay, so how do I deal with that? Well, let's look at the truth of it. Let's speak the truth of it. This is what is happening to me, and this is how I feel about it, and this is what I'm going to adjust because of it. And so yes, Joseph was able to express the truth of what his brothers had done. They put their own well-being above his and put him in harm's way because they were concerned about how they were feeling at the time.
That's right.
They didn't feel like they were loved and acknowledged by their father the way he was. So let's go ahead and get rid of him. Well, the point of that is we're harming somebody to get ahead. And betrayal literally shows up a lot of times where it's small enough to get by under the radar. It shows up as a win-lose or a lose-win. Think about this. In order for you to win, my betrayer, I have to lose.
Correct.
Okay. And so the thing about that is that's not balanced. That's not a good situation to be in. If we can't both win, this ain't healthy. And it's
Right.
not for me. We both need to win. And that's where we're going with the setting the boundaries. You're starting to be able to see, oh yeah, you also deserve to have something that is good too. Not just that, oh, I'm going to sacrifice or be a martyr for this other person. I'm not Christ. So I'm not going to sacrifice and martyr myself for you. What I'm going to do is stand here and do God's work for him, and that will benefit you.
Right. I,
Yes.
I agree with that. I know, guys, we're talking about set boundaries. You put it also in point one in acknowledging the pain, but we're going to be talking about setting boundaries probably for this whole show today, because setting boundaries is something that we need to all do in our lives, especially when it comes to people who are over. I just call them over the line steppers. You got people that always stepping over the line, doing something wrong. Got folk that don't know how to give space. Got folk that don't know when they're even offending, or folks that don't know when they're, or maybe they do know. They just don't care that they do it,
Yeah.
which is even worse, right? And so when we're talking about setting boundaries today, we're talking about setting healthy boundaries for ourselves, not for others, but for ourselves. It's so important that we understand when you set boundaries, it's for you personally, because when you set boundaries and you see people continue to violate those boundaries, that are people sometimes you need to separate from. Or those are people that you maybe have to have a conversation with. Hey, if you keep doing such and such thing, okay, we may cannot keep the same relationship that we have now. Right. So
And for me, that's absolute.
absolute,
We
right?
won't keep the same
Well,
relationship.
what I'm talking about right now, well, because always, right? Sometimes we have people that do things They may be aware or they may not be aware. But I think also it's a good thing to make sure people know, hey, especially if somebody, you maybe have a close relationship with people, people you work with, people you deal with, in a way, you explain to them what's going on, maybe explain to them what they're doing and how it's affecting you, right? And then you see what happens from there. Because some people will make a change, because some people will say that you're worth it, right? And say, you go to somebody and talk to them, about something they're doing wrong towards you, but they may not have seen it that way. Or they say, what, I didn't think it was bothering you. I didn't think anything of it, right? And then you can go and give them that understanding. And they say, what, I'll make sure I don't want to be that way towards you.
Right. And
I love and care for you enough to make sure that's not something that I want to do, right? And
yeah.
so in that case, hey, that's the right type of reconciliation. Reconciliation. That's the right way to move forward, if possible. But now you do that same explanation, you have that same talk, and people still do the same thing.
That's where I don't put a might. When you said, well, I believe I heard you say, if you keep doing the same things, I may not be able to keep the same relationship, this relationship with you the same way. I'm saying absolutely. Once I tell you that this is exactly what hurts me and how it hurts me, and this is the actions you're taking to bring on that pain, and you continue on doing it, absolutely, our relationship has changed.
Yeah. Yes.
It's changed.
Yes.
Because I'm not going to ask you to change anymore. Now, what happens is Myhisha changes. So I'm not going to be the same easygoing person that was taking all this nonsense from you before. Now I stiffen up and get real serious about it, where you saw me being lenient and happy-go-lucky. Now I'm very serious. I'm on alert. And we're going to work through this a different way. So no, it's going to change. It's just Myhisha's going to change if you decide you're not going to change that mean, bad behavior.
Understood.
So change is happening regardless.
Period. Well, wait up. Yeah, I was like, I might have to be out of here, but it's changing. It's changing.
Change is here.
Yes, that's right. That's true. That's so true.
So the next one is seeking support. For those of us who are changing, I relied on a lot of people that were safe to me. And I say a lot of people because there were 2 people that were safe to me during the time that I started on this journey, for healing. And one of them I could talk to at night, in the morning, I could talk to all the time. And the other person was by appointment, because I had a counselor. I had a person that would support me, was wanting to support me in going forward in pivoting, making changes about myself, setting up structure for Myhisha to have a true backbone. And so for me, 2 people was a lot for me, because I come from a situation where I didn't believe I could trust anybody. It was really hard, because the people that betrayed me were in my core center love portion of myself. They were so close to my center because I had brought them in, and that's what I knew, and that's what I believed. And I believed that they were people that were safe. And then when I found out that they weren't.
Real quick though, think about this for a moment. Think about what you just said. Just button in, just real quick. Think about it. The closer the people are to you, right, the worse the betrayal.
Yeah.
Right. We got to acknowledge that. Right. And so, we're talking about husband and wife, you made this person core to your soul, core to your being. When you're talking about your father, your mother, your brothers and sisters, your kids, people that are core, I mean, they can hurt you so badly. Why am I crying? Why am I feel like I can't move? Why am I feel like I'm depressed all of a sudden? But the reason that is because it's somebody that hurts you to your core, right? I mean, you just talked about that. The closer they are, the worse it hurts. So the reason I wanted to bring that up when you said it, because I want people to know, okay, don't think it's a strange thing when you're hurting like that. Right. Especially when the betrayal has come from somebody you really, really care about, somebody that's really close to who you are, somebody that's right next to you. Even somebody, when they can be, some people can be so close to you, when a relationship has stopped, it's like ripping and tearing you apart. And that's what betrayal does, right? I put my trust in you, I put my care in you, I put my love in you, I put my everything in you, and to see something like somebody break a covenant, step outside our relationship, sometimes you have that, and it be so close, it rips you.
Yes,
it rips you, and so you may get to a place where you're not even sure how to move anymore, and that may sound odd, but let's be honest. I as a pastor, I've had couples, or couples after the fact, come, this has happened and this has happened, and I feel like I can't move. I feel like I can't hardly breathe because the pain is so bad. I just
Yep.
wanted to say that when you brought that up, because it means something when people are very close to you and these type of things happen.
Yes. Yes. It does take away the the heartbeat
Yeah.
that exists between the two of you. It takes it away and it stops it right now. And the thing is healing requires somebody to come in and start doing CPR. And for me, that is the support that I was having. They were constantly, coming back, trying to give me breath in my body, making sure my heart would continue to beat, even though I felt like I didn't have a reason for it anymore. Like it was just too much for me to bear. I was so just blindsided by it. I didn't know what to do. And for the first time, I even told you, I said, for the first time, I understand destruction.
Mm.
I feel like I have been totally destroyed. Like this is it's there's no pieces left. Like how do I go pick up the pieces? I feel destruction. I feel like it is completely obliterated. All of this stuff about what I knew to be true is gone.
Wow.
So how do I build that back up and where do I start? You know, that's where support came in. That's what was helpful for me to come forward and say, okay, you can do this. You got it. You could do this. And we can do this together. So that's what support for me is like. And so offering support is somebody who you definitely can trust and wants to build trust. Now, this is something though about support. Your supporter will be willing to go through the steps of having to gain your trust. They will not automatically come in and say, oh, you owe me your trust, because it's you who needs me, not me who needs you. Your supporter will offer and be willing to go through the steps to gain your trust, because they will acknowledge the fact that you are hurt. You are well within your rights to be hurt. This thing that happened to you was not okay. This person that did it to you absolutely was in the wrong. And so, what do I need to do in order to help you to understand that I'm about you getting better? This person will be very patient. These people will be understanding. These people will be an ear. They will not sit here and judge you and decide against you because of what you're feeling. They will allow you to express yourself openly, honestly. And then, yes, they will tell you, well, I see it from another angle. If you can maybe look at it this way, because what they want you to do is be able to grow from it, build on it, not for you to stay destroyed from it.
Right. Well, that's good, and I'm happy you brought that up, because family, you are coming to some people. They may have good intentions, but the way they go about acting on those good intentions by trying to make you get over something faster than you're ready to get over it
Yeah.
is not helpful. And what do I mean by that? Sometimes you run into people that's trying to maybe help you in an area, counsel you, but really what they're doing, they're trying to shut down the bad thing that happened to you to help make you move forward faster, to get you, they think, to the happier place faster than you're ready. And what you end up doing is burying stuff.
Yeah.
You end up coping, right? And you end up saying, false words when you're really not here. Like, I'm okay. And this happens a lot with men. This happens a lot with men. I had I never forget this. I will never forget this as long as I live. It happened. I was probably by maybe my mid 30s, and this happened at church. I never forgot it, because the guy came after church one day and he asked me for prayer. And so I prayed with him. As I sat there and prayed with him, he let me know after prayer. I mean, I think he was in his late 60s, maybe early 70s. But he said, I've been on my wife over 40 years. And I just found out my wife's been cheating on me for 20 something years. I think I told you that, Myhisha. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't. He said, I mean, I'm looking at this man that was at least twice my age, and I'm thought like, Father, what do I even say? How do I even pray for this guy? What do I say that, his whole life he's been with this lady, and this lady just, man, in my opinion, of course, I mean, this lady was terrible. Of course, I'm judged. I shouldn't be judging anybody, but that's my first thought process. Oh my God, this guy, I mean, the worst wife in the world. This was what was going through me at the time when I was thinking about it, right? But I thought to myself, well, I mean, just goodness gracious, 20, 25 plus years, hey, just go with the other man. why be married to anybody? Now of course, he's telling me this, and I mean he's like crying, like hard crying. And I'm sitting there looking at him, of course I'm trying to give him a hug, but I didn't know what to really say to him, other than let me try to pray for you, and God, please help him, because you can see the pain and the hurt that's on the inside of him. It's almost like, you think you with somebody, you know, and this person, and you've been with them for years, all of a sudden you find out you don't know this person. They've been lying to you for all this time. And then it makes you go back to your mind and inside of you, well, did they ever like me? Were they ever really my friends?
Right. Those
Did they
questions.
ever love me?
Mhm.
Did they ever even care for me? Because you can't think in your mind, you can't make okay on the inside of you that person would do you like that. Because if they knew how much I'm hurting right now, that how can you ever think right now when you're going through it, they actually truly ever loved you? And then you do it for that long of a period. It's not like it's a one-off or something like that right there. It's something that took place. It took place for a lengthy period. I mean, those types of betrayals. I said, whoa, you have to get God involved. So as you seek professional help, you got to make sure you seek the Lord too, because that's something that not just it damages your soul.
Yes.
That's how heartbreaking it is. That's how hurtful it is.
Yeah.
It damages you to a place, where I see people not trust anymore. I can't love again. I can't trust again. I can't hold on to anybody else anymore, because I just can't have that happen. And so what the betrayal that took place to them, or the betrayal that happened to them, it was so bad in their thought process, so bad, to their core, that they no longer can move forward. And yes, the Lord would not have us to be this way. But yet, because of the thing that happened to us now, for sudden, instead of being transforming type change, it's a mutation type of change. It's a change that has changed us to the negative side of things, correct? And so, definitely, as you seek support, and I'm talking about support from a practical standpoint, seek counseling, seek therapy, get with somebody that you can talk with. In some areas you got to have professional help. Just to make it very plain for you, but also I would seek some form of spiritual guidance. I
Well,
would. I
again,
would pray and get others involved, because, because you need help from the Lord, especially when hard situations like that take place in your life.
yes. Remember, betrayal is not about the person being betrayed. It's about the betrayer. So even though a person may be betraying, for years and years and years, it has nothing to do with the husband. She actually probably really believed she loved him, no different than Judas.
Hmm.
So the thing about it is Judas in the scripture that betrayed Christ, Jesus, right? So the thing is that what we've learned about betrayers is that they really are just seeking for self. They're going after what's going to benefit me. Me. It's just about me. It's not about the person they're doing it to. So they're not thinking about the end game and how this is going to hurt that person. That's not a thought of theirs.
Right.
Whereas when we are in a loving relationship, we think about how this is going to impact the other person. That's what we're hoping in this relationship, right?
Right.
I'm concerned about how this is going to impact my husband. I'm concerned about how this is going to impact my family. I'm concerned. But when we have more concerned about anybody else and the concern is only about me, then I should be able to go ahead and have that extramarital affair. I should be able to go and do this thing that I want to do, not thinking about or regarding taking regards to anybody else that's going to be affected, even the person that was being cheated with. You think about that. So going back to it, it is about a person who's only thinking about themselves. They really do believe they love you. They believe they love you. But love, as we are understanding it, is different than just a feeling, because they're feeling love for you, right?
Right.
They're not in that commitment
No.
understanding of
The
love.
type of love marriage is considered as it's a type of love that's committed to your well-being.
That's it.
Right. That's it. So I want to make sure people, as we talk about this, they understand what we're talking about, because that's such a big deal. When you're committed to somebody else's well-being, you do what it is to be there for them. You want to make sure you do right by them. It's a self-sacrificing love. Biblically, we would call this agape type of love.
Mm-hmm.
right? And it's that love that says, I love you so much, I even put you before myself. And
Yeah.
anytime you put somebody else before yourself, you'll do your best to do right by them. So that's where that comes from, family.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
the next step is simply to reflect on the experience,
Mhm.
gain from the experience, because there are some things that you could do better, be better in, even for yourself. Like we talked about betrayal, even as children, people who betrayed us, people who betrayed us that are authority figures in our life still, because betrayal comes from top down. It doesn't come from a situation where you or people who are or at an equal stage. It doesn't come from bottom up. So our children can't betray us. They can
Mhm.
go ahead and do something that we would say, okay, you're disobedient, you are going against me, but they can't betray us. Okay. A betrayal comes from the same level. You and I are equals. That's how a marriage, a person can betray a person in a marriage, because we have the same stakes that are involved. A child and a parent, the parent can do a person in authority can betray the trust of a person who is depending on them. But how can the parent is not dependent on the child. So that's where it comes into, okay, you're disobedient, you're even going up against me, but you can't betray me because I'm not. You can go ahead and do what you're going to do, but I could go do what I'm going to do, and who's going to need who first? That's that saying where Uncle Sammy used to say, yeah, you can go on and do that, but you will need me way before I'll ever need you.
Now, I would ask you this: can an adult child betray their parents? Can an adult child you know, um, betray family members? And now, because I would think about, because when you talk about betrayal from this standpoint, right? You're talking about trust.
Trust,
Yeah,
yes.
because you know better, right? And so, if I'm trusting you to be a certain way, I'm trusting you to do a certain thing. Can an adult child betray a parent, or a parent betray an adult child? You already said a parent can do a child that way, but
Hmm.
the reason I'm bringing up adult children, because sometimes we've had issues where the children, adult children, do their parents dirty.
They do their
Okay,
parents dirty,
they
yes.
do.
Yeah.
And I'm saying that, like, stealing from their parents. I'm saying that, taking their parents, livelihood. We've had issues where parents, adult children have taken their parents, money to live on, in every way. I would think that's a betrayal. Why
So
would
that
you do?
comes from parent parent child right here, right?
Okay,
So when they're getting to be balanced in their resources and abilities. Now they're at the same level, they're at the same stage. Yes, there's betrayal that can happen. But
okay.
when you're like this person cannot betray this person. They don't have the same resources. They don't have the same opportunities
What
because you're not at the same level.
That
Once
was
you get
I
here,
brought it up for a reason, though. That's
mhm,
exactly why I brought it up, right? Because I
yeah,
want to make sure people understand what we're talking about here. See, when Myhisha first started talking, she's talking from the aspect of being a young child, and maybe even being a teenager, But we got to make sure we understand, when people become grown, they become an adult, and okay, when they become an adult, that's the level she was talking about here. Okay, well, sometimes we can do things as adults. Once again, from even adult children to their parents, we can do things that betray them. And we got
yeah,
to be so careful about some of the things that we do. I just want to make sure that was explained as we go forward, because I wanted to make sure people understood. Ooh, that somebody just wrote in, betrayal is painful and cuts like a knife. It absolutely does. But I also want you guys to understand it works both ways when everybody becomes adults.
yes,
I can see my son coming to take something from me as a little kid. That's just a behavior I need to correct. But when my son becomes an adult, he knows better. Okay, he knows better to do me dirty, things of that nature. Okay, and yet he does a certain thing to me. Hey, that's dead wrong. And you're betraying your father or your mother's trust at that point,
yes.
because that that's even a biblical thing. But I wanted to make sure people understood the difference in it. And
Oh,
so
thank you. Yes.
when we're reflecting on the experience, guys, one thing we do in reflection, this is where seek support is above reflect on the experience, because there's two ways to reflect on experiences. We can reflect on an experience the negative way, where everything we see was all terrible, right? It
Mhm.
was all wrong. I never, should have did this, should have did that. I never should trust. I never should have did any of this, right? And yet the experience wasn't totally that way, right? A healthy way to look at the experience is to actually maybe even get somebody to guide you to look at it, because most times in any relationship, everything is not bad. Okay, every moment, every minute is not bad. Now, when you're in the middle of that hurt and pain, you may think to yourself, I want every minute back. Because when you start thinking, I want every minute, every moment back, that just ticks you off even more. You're like, I'm pissed, right? And I want it all back, But it doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way because we, even in the worst of times, we have to learn.
Yeah.
We have to learn. And when we start reflecting back on our experience, if we just think everything is like this, like I say, we start now taking all the painful experiences, all the painful moments, all the pain, all the hurt, and everything that's taken, and then we make it universal to everybody we come in contact with. All women are no good, all men are dogs, all women is trash. You start doing things like that. Wait, you messed up. Now you've taken this negative thing experience that happened to you, and you paint that broad brush, and you're taking that a broad stroke and you're painting it over everyone else. Well, that's just not the truth. And so here now, what's happening to you now is you're mutating your thought process. Okay, you should be able to learn and grow from this, even though it's a painful thing, right? But you never want to take something that's really painful that one person did and cast that same thing over everybody else. You make it universal, because
No.
now what you're doing is you're defeating yourself.
Yep.
That's exactly what's taking place.
You're pushing yourself out of a possible good relationship with someone who is
Absolutely.
not like that.
Absolutely. I got people say, I can't love no more. I just can't love no more. And then it hits me on this. Oh man, they still hurt. They're
Yeah.
still traumatized. They're still in a place, they may be moving each and every day, they think they're moving forward in life, but they're really just tolerating that pain. They learn how to cope with that pain, but they haven't healed from it. And so
There
what they've done was they buried it. They pushed it so far down on the inside of them, that they're moving, but not in the fullness of life that God would have them to move in, right? And so I want to make sure we understand when we're reflecting on the experience that we have, make sure you get the help you need, okay, to reflect the right way. And you need more help when you start looking at everything that has taken place rather, and you're looking at the experience and everything is just negative and everything is everyone is like this. Go get the right help you need to get assistance and healing.
Yes.
And it's okay. There's nothing wrong with getting the help you need to heal you.
I have a point really quick with that.
Yeah.
Here's an area where, because some people like to ask, well, when do I know that I need support, more support, or professional help? For me, this is a trigger word that I know a person needs to go a lot deeper with guided help, and that is if you get stuck on the why. Why
Mhm.
did this happen to me? Because really the structure of the problem is all that you need in order for you to become a bigger, stronger, better you. And that's just what happened. What happened? What was the way it happened? What
Right.
was the reason for these choices? You get what I'm saying? Because then we can break it all down. However, if we get stuck in why did he choose to do that to me? Why did she choose to do that to me? That why is it's like that universal symbol where it just keeps going off the infinity symbol,
Yep.
right? Just
Mhm.
keep going around in circles. You will be in that circle for the rest of your entire life. Why? So that's when it's time if you get stuck there, for certain you need to go to get another person to help bring you up out of that muck because you're in a quicksand. And so let's get you out of there. Okay.
Good.
And the reason why is we're going to go through step 5. That's a real reason why we want you to get out of there. But on step 4, really quick, is forgive and implement self-care. The thing about forgiveness is we will continue to always speak about forgiveness, and that is literally releasing the person from the debt that they owe you. They do owe you better. They do owe you more. They do owe you. That's not questioned. It's not questioned. They definitely owe you more. However, we get to a place when we're in healing where we accept the fact this person cannot pay this debt. They don't have the funds for it right now. And even if they did, we acknowledge that they're choosing not to spend it on this. And so I now take their debt and I write paid in full on it. That's it. They don't owe Myhisha nothing else. They don't owe me anything else. Why? Because I have literally closed this chapter and it is paid. This is why, because after I go ahead and close this chapter, I can now go into self care with me. So this is all one. Now I can look at where is it that I really want to hold them accountable, and why do I want to hold them? See, I can ask myself why because I can answer my why. But
Right.
asking why about another human being that you may not ever get the answer to, that's when we got to get you out of that infinity cycle. Okay, but why, Myhisha? Why are you feeling this way? Why does this person still owe you? Well, because I deserve better. Okay, they're not going to give you better. They're choosing not to, or they're not able to. What are you? How are you going to get better? Now I'm in the how. How are you going to get better, Myhisha? What are you going to do to give yourself better? See, now I'm owning the problem and the solution. What are you going to do? Because the problem is still there. Now take it and make it yours, Myhisha. You are owed more than that. What are you going to do to get it? You deserve more than that. When are you going to give it to yourself? Because you are deserving. You are worthy of it. You were created in God's likeness and for love. He loves you. Where is it that you are not are in a deficit of love for you when it comes to this particular place? Come on now. Now I can own it. Oh, then no, I don't need this from somebody else.
Sure.
It's nice when they give me because you know it is always nice to get a gift, right? But it's not something that I can die off of if I don't have it. It's extra. And that's because I am now learning how to become a complete person. A whole person will always find other whole people.
That's right. That's
And
right.
that's the goal.
That's it. We have to learn to forgive. I mean, biblically, we Christians have to forgive. It's not even a choice, even when the worst things take place in their lives or to their loved ones. The reason the Lord has us to forgive because He doesn't want us indebted to anyone else, and that's what my issue is plainly saying.
Yes.
Because if you're holding on and waiting for somebody to say, please forgive me for the wrong I've done, what you're doing is you have placed yourself in debt to them.
Yep.
Okay, because now you're waiting for that, and you're gonna stay angry, and you're gonna stay mad, and you're gonna stay hurt forever. Because they haven't said, please forgive me. Let it go. The Lord,
Yeah.
you can forgive somebody without ever talking to them,
Yeah.
because forgiveness is a choice that you make internally. And I want to make sure I say this too. Forgiveness is a choice. When you make that first choice to forgive that day, you must make that choice to forgive each and every day after the fact until it's no longer a thought process to you. One of my older brothers was killed when I was a young man. And some of the people that helped that did that deed, I knew him. I've been knowing him since I was a little boy, you know. But I realized when I was in my 30s that you know what, I got to let that go. I can't hold on to all that hostility, all that hurt, that pain, all that anger I had towards those folks, and I had to get myself to a place where, you know what, I said, I forgive
Yep.
because I had to do it for me, because all that angst that was on the inside of me, all that, like I said, that hurt, that pain. And it took time. Like I said, it took years, because that happened when I was 21 years old. It probably was not to my, probably my early 30s to mid 30s where, I knew it was something that would no longer bother me anymore. But that's where I had to get to. And for those folks who who lived through all that stuff and are still living, I actually want the best for them. They got a chance to still live there. If God has still got them here, I want the best for them and their families. But I had to get my mind there. But I remember what it took for me to get that thought process was I had to forgive, and I had to forgive each and every day after that.
Yep.
And I had to hold on to that to where it no longer hurt the same anymore, because
Yeah.
that's where we have to get ourselves to a place. We got to get ourselves to a place where we can function right, where it's no longer hindering us from being who we're called to be. When something truly affects us, especially when a topic as this right here, we're talking about betrayal, we got to be so careful, because things can hurt us to our core. I mean, in such a way so bad that we want to hold on to it because we know how bad it hurt us. But God, our Lord does not want us to live that way. Not at all. He wants us to be free from that. So, always choose to forgive. Even in the worst moments, we have to choose to forgive. And, and like I say, implementing self-care, and when we choose to forgive, that is the probably, I want to say that probably the biggest start to implementing self-care,
Yeah.
because we're refusing to keep latched on to the very thing that put us in the situation, where we're experiencing the hurt and pain over and over and over again on a daily basis. So
Yeah.
I know we need to move to that last one, guys. We've been a little long, but oh man, I didn't think this would be this good. I hate to say it that way, but this is good. So
Yeah.
go on and lead us in, Mike, for this last topic.
Okay. Well, seek meaning and learn and grow. So seek meaning. Sometimes people think, well, that just happened, so it doesn't have any meaning. Well, I want to say that everything that happens can mean something better or good for ourselves. And one thing that I learned a long time ago is there's pretty much two scenarios that stick with a person for all of their life, even from childhood on up to adulthood. And that is something that's traumatic or tragic that happens, or something that was very impactful in an impressive way. You know, it impressed something upon me, and I found out that I was able to do something that I never even thought about. You know, like maybe I have a superpower. I'm very good in this one area. You know, those kind of things, they stick with us. And everything in between, we kind of get lost in translation. Like they just get lost in the years that we live. You know. So with that being said, when we turn around and we look and we forgive this person for doing this thing, betraying us in the way that they chose to betray us, we can literally, after we wipe away that debt and we start to implement caring for ourselves in the areas where we were betrayed, we can find meaning in, what does this mean for me now? Who am I now that this has happened to me? Look at a sense of purpose or meaning in that suffering. For instance, I had a situation where someone was abusing their privileges with me. They had a place of authority, and they were able to have certain privileges that, other people wouldn't have, like being in my house, right? Well, this person took it upon themselves to abuse that privilege, and for the longest time, I didn't understand, what does this mean? Why would this person do this? And I kind of got stuck there. Going to get professional help, I learned there was something that happened to me from that experience, and it was beneficial. And that thing that happened to me was simply this: I no longer take for granted when people are in my home and that I can just be as free and nonchalant. I need to always be cognizant of the people and the things around me. I should never go through life and just bumble across anything, just bump into anything and just like, oh, there you are. So now I'll pay attention to you. No, I should be aware. I should be intentional about the things that I am doing. The people that are around me should have an intentional reason to be there. If things are just there, then I need to start asking questions of myself and of the people who are just there. Are you aware of your purpose? Are you aware that there is something that you should be fulfilling here? There is a purpose for everything and everybody. So now I'm more on guard, and I've learned that I'm actually way more resilient than I knew about myself or even gave myself credit for, from going through that experience. Now, do I wish that that never happened to me? I used to, but I don't now. Now I accept that was one of the ways that I learned how to be me in a much better way. And I can still be loving and trusting and carefree in a sense. However, my carefree now is different. My carefree is people who have earned my trust. I let certain my guards down in certain areas, but not everywhere. I still keep my guards up in places. It's just not rough guards. It's not abrupt. It's more gentle. I can play and say certain things with them that I wouldn't say with the person that my guard is completely up with. So I've learned how to be a little bit more me from an experience that I used to wish never happened to me. But now I realize it's helped me to grow up and become more mature and responsible for me in different areas. Does that make sense?
It does. It does. I think hindsight being 2020, a lot of us can look back on some of our old experiences and say how much we've grown when we know we have grown through them, when we become victorious over them, right? It doesn't hurt or sting the way it used to. I try to look at things now when they happen to me and try to be real with myself each and every day as I'm going through the experience. And what I simply mean by that, if something hurts, I'm saying it hurts.
Yeah.
I'm in it right now. I try to catalog each and every day, my thought process, maybe my feeling concerning, what I'm going through that day. And the reason I do that, because I do realize I'm going to come out of these things one day. I'm not going to, I'm not going to be in the same pain each and every day, but I also, when I'm going through hardship now, as I've learned better over the years, Father, what do you want me to gain from this day?
Yes.
What do you want me to get? And the reason I go down that road is because, see, I know if my father allowed this to happen to me in my life, okay, it means I can simply handle it.
Hmm.
Okay, and how do I know that? I know that because what? It's scripture tells me no temptation has overcome you, but such is common to man, and God is faithful, who will never allow you to be tempted more than you're able. And in his faithfulness, he will allow us a way of escape so that we may bear it. Now, I'm only bringing that up because, see, if the Lord allowed someone to come in my life that was going to do me such and such way, he wanted me to get something from it. He wanted
Yeah.
me to learn something from it. Like I can take it. We know. I look now, even things that happened to me as a young teenager, as a young child. I can look back and I can help people with the things that happened to me. I can look back. It's always some good. If he allows it, it's a reason for it. The Lord will never waste your tears. He will never waste your pain.
No.
It's a reason, okay, that he's doing it, or he allowed it, or rather, and some people says, and some people get really mad at God. Even I, like, Father, why would you allow this to happen in my life? Especially when I was in the middle of it, especially when I was sad and hurt because of it. But now, me looking back, I realize, you know what? The Lord didn't bring this on because that was something that the enemy used to try to take me out. But at the
Yeah.
same time, the Lord said, you know what? I allowed it for a reason. And that's hard. That's hard for a lot of people. That's hard for a lot of people to deal with certain things regarding our God, because we know our God will allow trials and tribulations, hardships, things to come into our life that, like, Father, this is the worst thing in the world. Why would you ever allow it to come to me? But now I realize if he's allowed it to come, it's for a reason.
Yeah.
And Father, teach me that reason. Help me to understand. Help me to get to a place so I know how to use this even for you. And I know sometimes, guys, with the things that happen in our lives, it can be rough. I mean, I even, I work with people who have had terrible things happen in their family. I've worked with people who have lost some of their brothers and sisters, maybe even to violence. I work with that because I know how to handle it. I've been through certain things, so now I can help to coach and counsel them through some of those feelings and emotions which they're experiencing when they're in the moment. So
There you
I never want anyone who may be hearing me right now, and I never, all you folks that are maybe going through things, that they have this hurt, this pain on the inside of you, don't think it's for nothing.
go.
Don't think it's for nothing. Because I'm telling you now, there's always something to learn. Okay, when you're going through the pain, there's always something to learn when you're burning in the fire. There's always something to learn when you smell like smoke. The one day you're not going to be burning no more. One day you're not going to be smelling like smoke no more. But there's a greater you that's going to come out from it. I just want you guys to understand that. So make sure you get that. Like, say, if you need help, you're going through things right now. If you can't find nobody in your local area, you can always reach us at harvestvillage.org, at admin@harvestvillage.org, I should say. That's the way to email us, admin, ADMIN, at harvestvillage.org. But I want to put that out there because, guys, hey, if you still got breath in your body, you still waking up every morning, your purpose is not finished. Okay, the Lord has a way for you to move forward. And like I say, take these 5 steps, listen to this as much as you need to listen to it, but reach out if you need to. We would
Yes.
love so much, to talk to you, and to help you on your journey to healing and becoming the man or woman God has called you to be.
Yeah.
So that's probably my close, I would say, for the day. You have anything else, Mike, you want to give them?
Yeah, so I just want to remind everybody, healing from betrayal is not linear. It doesn't go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The steps that we gave you today, they're not going to be in order for everybody or possibly anybody. However, they are steps. And when you go through that step, you'll understand, oh, this is what I'm doing. I'm in the forgiveness stage. Some of us can go right to forgiveness. You know what? I forgive them. They don't even know what they've done. And then we can go through the other portions of it. Some of us, it takes a little longer. Maybe forgiveness is the last step that you take. But it doesn't matter, because what I do want you to remember is that it's it most likely will feel like an emotional roller coaster. It's
Yes,
a roller coaster.
it
And
is.
it's important to be patient with yourself and allow yourself to go through the process and let it go naturally for you. What is the process you're going into? Because Myhisha may go through it and go through 1 through 3 and then switch, 4 and 5. But maybe you go through it 5 to 1, so these steps, they're here for you to have some guidance and to understand for yourself, but they're not exact. So just want to let you to know, just to be patient. Remember that we love you. Hopefully you will, if you don't have that love, that self-love for yourself, hopefully we can love you into understanding or having a guide as to what it's like to be loved. I needed that at the time where I was starting on my journey from healing from betrayal, I needed to have that external love, and now I'm filling myself up with that internal love. My youngest daughter loves to say, "Mom, you and your self-love, girl, you really got that self-love going," because it's something that was not my normal. It stands out even to my children, and I appreciate that they point it out to me. So if you don't have that for yourself, and you don't know of anyone particularly that you can receive that from right now, like Pastor Charles said, go ahead and reach out. We want to love on you. We've been there, done this, and we want to share what God has given to us. And that is love. That is patience. That's more kindness. So go ahead and reach out. Hopefully, we will speak to you soon, and can't wait to see you guys again on this live podcast.
Take care, family. Hope you guys have a blessed weekend. Have a blessed next week. Take care now. Have a blessed one now. Bye.
Bye bye.